Start off just by having you tell us a little bit about yourself and why you're running.
Okay. Well, my name is Mandy Fox. I'm originally from Hays. I grew up here. My maiden name is Hoffman. I graduated from Hays High in 1998. I went to K-State, got a bachelor's degree in agronomy, and then went to Texas A&M, got a master's degree in soil and environmental science. Moved back to Manhattan so my husband could continue on his education, and we were there till about 2010. We moved to Greeley, Colorado for about a year, then we moved to Ulysses, Kansas for about 2 years, and then we made it back to Hays. We have 4 children, ages 9, 7, one will turn 4 here in 2 weeks, and one just turned 2 in January. So the reason I'm running for school board, not only because I have kids that are in the district, is also because I feel that the schools are such an important part of economic development for our community. If we want to continue to attract business professionals and business and growth, you want to be able to say that we have great schools. Come bring your families here. Let's help you raise them. So I think that's that is the reason. Not because I have kids in the district, but that is the reason that I am. It is such a strong factor in keeping a community strong. It's the platform, it's the basis, and so many dollars go to the schools that I think people want to have great schools to know that their dollars are going to those schools. So,
thank you. Should the public's desire for neighborhood schools and the choice of elementary schools, should that override the cost savings that we've been told by administrators that can be had by consolidating elementary schools?
I'm not sure I'm entirely clear on your question. I think those are 2 different issues. I think by consolidating schools, I don't necessarily think that they're taking away the opportunity to pick those elementary schools. The remaining schools that are still open, is my understanding, we will still have a choice of those schools to go to. The consolidation is because there's not, in my understanding, again, I think there's a lot of information out there, and the pieces I've been able to glean together is that there is 1 section per grade at some of the schools, and in order to diversify and keep those schools where there's multi-sections in those schools, that we need to consolidate and bring that together. So, and in order to offer the best technology and the best resources and the best teachers, we need to consolidate and make sure that those resources are appropriately allocated across those different schools, and by the consolidation it will help to make that successful.
How far would you go with the consolidation in terms of elementary schools? I mean, should we do more there, or do you think 4 is a good number?
I don't know what the projections are as far as population for the community and where those demographics fall within the population, but I think that we need to maximize the space in our buildings. I don't want us to have classrooms that are in excess of the 20, 25, whatever the limit is that we feel is the appropriate level. I don't feel like that we need to exceed that for the sake of consolidation, but to maximize the buildings with the best resources and to accommodate population projections, I think that's where we need to be. I don't know if that number is 4 based on that information. So,
how do you categorize art, music, and media? Are they classes? Are they extracurricular activities?
Music and media, are you saying, am I comparing those to like sports?
Yes. Would you categorize them as sports and extracurricular, or are they classes?
I think media is a class. I think music is a choice like sports are a choice. I don't think everybody's interests fall in the area of music, and I don't think everybody's interests fall in the area of sports. I don't know that those are the same thing, though. I don't, because there is, and there's education in sports as well, but there's a different type of education offered in music and the arts than what there is in sports. But it also is an interest, a specific interest field. Media and technology, I guess I would group as a class because I don't see I don't see how we can't have those things moving forward. And when I say media, I mean, online technology and all that type of stuff too. So
like Channel 13 at Hays High, those things. So would you advocate some programs, like if we categorize art as a program, do you advocate some pay for classes? And what about extracurricular activities, sports, the extra music and that?
Again, I think that there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that go into that. I think that the sports receive a lot of the booster club support, at least at the high school level. They have a lot of funding coming from those booster clubs and monies raised from them. So you can look at that in two capacities. You could say they already are kind of paying to playing by fundraising and things like that. Or you could say that there needs to be an additional activity fee on top of that, wherever we are on the budget as far as that goes. And I don't know that it's uniform across all sports. I think that there's certain sports that, and I'm not sure how funds get distributed, what I've been told is the budget is just a big monster and it's going to take a long time to figure it out if I do get elected. But it is, if those funds aren't evenly distributed and there's certain sports that aren't receiving as much funding or they have a higher cost to play, then maybe there is an activity fee that needs to be associated with those. With music, if you had to buy an instrument, I guess that's a cost there. I don't know what additional, if some of the arts there may be a supply fee that needs to be affiliated, but I think some of those things are kind of incorporated already. I don't know if they need to be increased. Again, that's a budget item I haven't got to dive into yet. So,
transportation, for instance, like music trips, KMEA, those kinds of things. Should students be assessed for those?
I guess I would have to see, to answer that question fairly, I would have to see what the total cost of those trips is and what the fee would be per student. I don't know how many trips they go on. I'll be honest, I wasn't involved in the music end. I was involved in the sports end. But I would have to see what those fees are and what our budget allowance is for it, and if there is, I guess I don't fully understand the picture of what those costs entail at this point.
And would the answer be the same in terms of sports and those transportation?
Yeah, I think I need to better understand what those costs are and what the district has to encompass, what the booster clubs encompass, what the students, I think there's a lot of pieces of the puzzle that I don't have a full picture on those yet. So,
do we need to cut costs, and if so, are there certain areas you have identified as places to cut?
I think yes. The answer, that's abundantly clear with what our state has done and what that's just kind of the trend across the board, not only in education but in many other fields. Is you have to learn to do more with less. And how do we get more efficient? How do we get better? How do we? So yes, I think there has to be cuts made. I don't know where specifically those cuts need to be made. I would like to think we could keep everything and just do it more efficiently, but I'm not sure if that's right. I haven't targeted a specific area in my mind where I think that we need to make cuts. But I know there's always room for improvement. There's always room for efficiency. I don't know at what level that is and what specific area that's in and to what degree.
Are you a proponent of long-range planning for the district?
Yeah, as far as when you say long range, I would say like 5 years. I think you can't project too much further out beyond that with such a portion of the budget coming from state funds and not being able to fully anticipate what they're going to do from year to year to year, or if we shift in policy or anything like that. I think we as a district need to be prepared for less over that 5-year time frame. But and if we get more, great. But yes, I don't think we can just wait and let them tell us, or wait and see what happens, or wait and see what we get. We need to be able to plan forward so that we know, especially in the areas of technology or any major transportation, any major purchases that we have to make, building updates. We've got to be able to have a plan further out. So,
what should the district's priorities be in terms of long-range planning?
I
you identified certain things?
I've spoke with several of the different, not several, I've spoken with a handful of the different principals in the schools. I'm continuing to knock one out each week as we get closer to the election. One thing that's been comes up time and time again is their need for technology, to have technology updated, technology keep moving forward with the speed that the outside world is, so that the students are prepared when they leave this district to go on and be up to speed with everybody else. So I think technology is a major issue that we need to have forward planning on. I think probably our buildings are something that we also need. I mean, those are huge costs that we need to be thinking long range on, not something that we get slammed with a huge expense or last minute expense that we're not prepared for.
Would you support a bond? There has been talk among board members about a bond issue that would upgrade the facilities. Would you support that?
I personally would, yes. I think, as I said at the beginning, the schools are such a key part of our community, and as we continue to get less funding from other resources, I know no one likes to pay more on taxes and bond issues, but I think that is one of the mechanisms we have that can help us continue to move forward. And even if I wasn't elected to the school board and they were to propose a bond, I would be in support of it for this community.
Any ideas? You mentioned that we need to upgrade facilities and do some maintenance things. Ideas if a bond is proposed and it fails. Any ideas how to do that?
I think, from other communities that I've lived in and observed, there's a lot of instances where the bond will not go the first time or the second time. I think it's something that you have to continue to rework, represent, research, and take your time figuring out what the majority, not everyone, but what the majority of everybody feels is the most important needs to keep our schools and our districts moving forward. So if it fails, I think it's probably something you have to come back at again. So.
Union negotiations have been in the news lately at the state level, and particularly. Do you think that the board should participate in negotiations? And that's something that this board has. Last year they had district officials negotiate on their behalf. This year they went back to being participants themselves. Do you have an opinion on that issue?
Because salaries and benefits are a huge part of the budget, and we want to have very great teachers, I think that is something that the board needs to be engaged in. I'm not sure to what degree as a participant or as in the other capacity you explained, but I do think they need to be involved in understanding and have some sort of voice in what goes on in that too, and be understanding for the community, a liaison for the community as well. They are the representatives for the board and back to the community, so they need to understand what's going on in those negotiations as well.
Do you have any priorities? Have you given any thought to teachers' contracts to have any priorities? What things you might like to see change? I
don't know the ins and outs of their current contracts, and I don't know what their current negotiations will include. That's something that I haven't really had specific points to put on. So
sure. It's time to renew the technology contract, and you had mentioned updating technology. So is that an area where the district can save money, or should we expand that, go with one-to-one kindergarten through high school?
Oh, I don't know. A one-to-one all the way up. I don't know if I'd want my first grader. It's an area that needs to probably not an area that needs to have a greater budget maybe, but one that we need to figure out how we do the best with what we have. Again, I don't know, I would go back to we need to do more with less, and so we're going to have to figure out what is the best option for those dollars that we have allocated and can use in that area. And if it's one-to-ones high school up, or if it's one-to-ones middle school up, or if it's upgrading certain aspects of, the drafting or AutoCAD programs or the journalism programs. Those are things that I think that we need to research, and like I said, we need to do the best we can with whatever dollars we have allocated. I don't know that we're going to get more, I guess, or we could have more. Everybody always wants more, but I think we need to focus on what we have and what we can do with that money. So
I know iPads is one thing that the board is talking about. Are you a advocate of iPads, or are you?
I think there's really great things that you can do with iPads. I think they're a great teaching tool. I also know, being in the professional world, that there are things they can't do. It is very difficult to run an Excel spreadsheet, to do a whole presentation from an iPad. I wouldn't sit down if I was going to prepare something for one of my clients and use an iPad to do it. I have a laptop that detaches and the screen becomes a touch screen, and I rarely use that. But I do think that I've seen teachers who have done really fantastic things, and there are kids that respond very well to them, and it is a big part of how we operate. I know people who do business in restaurants or retail, and that's all they have. They don't have a huge computer system. They have an iPad that they can scan things off of. So I do think it has its place. I do not think it's the only option.
Common Core, also known as College and Career Ready Standards, is back as an issue in the Kansas legislature. Do you have an opinion? Should we maintain the standards that were adopted? Should they be scrapped for something new? While they're very different, I know just sitting down and doing homework with my kids, it's an entirely different way to learn things than how I learned it, but they seem to be catching on. And they seem to be doing well with it. I would hate to see something that we've invested so much time and money and training on be taken away or given up on so early, I guess. I think it needs to be given some more time. I know it's frustrating for a lot of people, but it would also be very frustrating to see something go away that I don't feel we've given a fair assessment to. You mentioned getting out to the different schools and meeting the principals. Other things that you're doing to kind of prepare yourself?
I've talked with some of the existing board members, some past board members, some that are staying on and running again, some that are going off. We've got to have a combination of those. I've also talked with a couple different teachers. I'm kind of waiting to see what everybody else does as far as campaigning. I know that's probably not the best approach to do, but I haven't seen a lot of signs out for any of the races or anything like that. So kind of waiting to see if everyone kind of takes that path. I'm looking forward to the debate. I'm interested to hear. To me, I feel really, there's so much to learn, and there's so much that doesn't get seen by the general population. Since I've thrown my name into the hat and have the information that I've gotten since then is just huge compared to before, and that's not anybody's fault. That's me not engaging at the same level. I think that's one thing that's really hard and that the district really needs to work on and the board really needs to work on, is getting the whole picture out there instead of just a small piece of the puzzle. And again, that's not any fault of reporters either. You guys have a little paragraph to write about a whole story, and so the general public gets a very small piece of the puzzle. And I think we need to work better at conveying messages, conveying goals, conveying timelines to the people who are supporting those efforts.
So is that something as a board member that you would try to
I would
do?
really, and I mentioned that to the superintendent as well, and I know he would like to see that as well, is how do we get that? And it's a difficult thing, and I don't think there's a right answer. I don't know if you'd have town halls or something like that, or you have Facebook, or you're still hitting only small fractions of those people and those that want to engage in that particular media. So there's got to be a way for us to get a bigger piece of that information out to the people who are, like I said, in support of those things or not in support of those things. So.